Hey, this is Warren Redlick. I wanted to talk about something that I feel like people have been missing lately about Tesla. The critical point is, what is Tesla's sales strategy? How is Tesla selling cars? How is Tesla's sales strategy very different from other car makers? Well, and I'm going to talk about BYD and I'm going to talk about Toyota as just two examples of this. So one of the points of my channel when I make videos, whether it's about Tesla, SpaceX, whatever, is if I feel like there's something that people aren't seeing, that's outside the regular conversation and maybe explain some things that the regular conversation is missing. T-shirts at elonbits.com, by the way. Dealerships, right? If you go to America, Ford, General Motors, the vast majority of car makers sell their cars through dealerships. And we know that Tesla doesn't use dealerships, and we see that, and we know that's a different strategy. And what you'll hear a lot of complaints about from the Barry Glacks of the world and the James Katz or whatever, the lost gerbils is, oh, Tesla needs to advertise. Tesla needs to do something to educate consumers. And this is apparently the thing that Tesla is not doing that they should be doing. And maybe supposedly somebody else does this or does this better than Tesla does. And that's the problem. Well, one of the biggest distinctions between Tesla and these other car makers is the sales strategy of selling through fixed locations versus Tesla selling online. And I just want to show you this as an example. I'm in Bangkok right now. This is Bangkok, Thailand, and you can see all these BYD locations in Bangkok. Well, here's Tesla. Tesla has it's a little misleading. Tesla Thailand, that one location is called Ramkaheng, is the main sales and service center. It is true that there's a couple of little facilities, one in Siam Paragon. I think there's one more where you can walk in and you can see a Model 3 and a Model Y and you can ask some questions. But they're not really sales centers. They're not full-on sales centers. They're nothing comparable to these. They're nothing comparable to the Ramkaheng one. They're nothing comparable to a typical Tesla store that you'll see in America. Thailand is a big country. This is the only one in the whole country. This is the second largest pickup truck market in the world after the United States. Larger than Canada, larger than Australia. 800,000 pickup trucks a year in Thailand. Ford Ranger size pickup trucks. The Isuzu D-Max and the Toyota Hilux. The Toyota Hilux are the number one and number two best sellers. Ford Ranger's number 5 in the country. So it's a large car market. There's a lot of people buying cars. BYD has said, we're gonna lay out a whole bunch of physical locations. My fiance and I were going to this district office where we're trying to figure out what exactly documents do we need in order to make the marriage legal. We're going to get married shortly. And as we're walking out, I think it's actually, you see where the blue dot is? It's the one just to the left of the blue dot. The blue dot is where I am. I think that's Bango. And we are walking back to the transit station, and I look over my shoulder, and oh, there's a BYD dealer there. They're just everywhere. They're you just keep seeing them. And there's only one Tesla location. So that's a very different strategy. And there's this question, is that the right strategy? Now let's look at Kansai, which is Osaka, Kobe, and Kyoto. Right, so the upper part here is Kyoto. Down here by the lake over there is Osaka, and the far left side where you see the word Toyota, that's Kobe. And you can see the same rough map over here. And you've got a whole bunch of Toyota locations, and you've got 2 Tesla locations. And this is the second largest metropolitan area in Japan, a country of 120 million wealthy people. And Tesla has not succeeded in Japan. They do not sell a high volume of cars in Japan. They've been in Japan for a long time. And it's not working. I should say it's not working if they're trying. It's not clear to me that they're trying that hard. So I just wanted to be clear about what I think. And let's go back to Bangkok for a second. Now, BYD, like Toyota had those dealerships. Those are probably privately owned dealerships that are not owned by Toyota. I think the BYD stores are owned by BYD. So what happens here? How does this happen? BYD is investing a lot of money opening these locations. Toyota, there's a critical distinction about this strategy, right? Because BYD is spending all this money on these physical locations, that's an additional cost. Because Toyota has to share revenue with the dealerships, General Motors, Ford, companies in America, they have to share revenue with the dealerships. That's an additional cost, effectively a cost. So when you sell a car for $20,000, maybe you're only getting $18,000. If you're doing this, your cost of goods sold is higher because you had to spend more money on having these physical locations set up. Where Tesla, their cost of getting the sale done is much, much lower. And you can that leads to you're able to charge the consumer a lower price, or you make more profit per vehicle, or both. So that's a decision that Tesla made a while ago. But it's still striking to me like they're really taking this pretty aggressively, because I've been 10 hours south of here. I've driven 10 hours south of Bangkok and I've seen Teslas. And like Hat Yai is a decent sized city. Bangkok is really like a very large city in Thailand, and there's like really no other very large cities in Thailand. So it's sort of like, well, where would you put the other locations? But they're not even trying. And so I have a theory about this. Okay. The theory is, first of all, obviously you can lower your price of cars if you're not spending money on all these physical locations. But if you're able to sell a lot more cars, then you get economies of scale in producing your cars. So maybe your cost of production goes down. So there is like another angle to that. So here's my problem. From an accounting perspective, and I'm not an accountant, I'm not one of these Wall Street finance guys, but from an accounting perspective, when you spend money to open that location, and Tesla is new to Thailand, right? Tesla's only been in Thailand for, I don't know, a year or two, and maybe less than 2 years. And Malaysia, same thing. Malaysia is just south of Thailand. I think there's only a location in Kuala Lumpur. I don't think they have any other locations. So one location in Malaysia, one location in Thailand. If Tesla decided, hey, let's build 10 locations. All right, how long is that going to take? It's going to take a couple years to get all those open. Okay, now here's the big question. When you invest money in establishing a physical location, that's a capital expense. CapEx, it's CapEx. And you're looking for what's my return on this capital investment. And typically when you invest in something like that, you're not going to make your money back in the first year. It's going to take 5-10 years to make the money back for that investment. You also have to hire employees. Now you're paying people that are on the payroll now. That's part of the cost that increases the cost. But here's where the kicker comes in. If you believe that your business model in 5 years is going to be, we're not selling cars to customers anymore, to regular consumers anymore. We're just putting vehicles into robo-taxi fleets. We might be selling them to fleet customers. We might be selling them, we might be running them ourselves as robo-taxi vehicles. But Tesla's long-term strategy with vehicles might be, we're going to sell rides, we're not going to sell cars. You know, it looks like they're going to flick the switch on the robo-taxi network in 2025. So now you're sitting here in 2024, do we invest, $50 million, $100 million in opening all these locations when that money is not going to come, and expecting that that's going to pay itself back over 5 or 10 years. But 2 or 3 years from now, we're going to be going to a robo-taxi system where we're not selling cars to customers anymore. I don't think it makes sense this is the thing that I don't see anybody talking about. But you'll see Barry Glack, you'll see Lost Gerbil, you'll see other, whiners saying Tesla needs to advertise, Tesla needs to advertise, Tesla needs to advertise. Well, if your long-term strategies were not selling cars to customers anymore, then, one of the values of doing all that brand advertising is you're building up a brand name in the customer's mind, so they're more likely to come back. And so there's one of the values of that advertising is the long-term value that it changes customer perceptions and builds your brand for car sales. But if you don't expect to sell cars in 5 years, that's another benefit you're not getting. So I just wanted to cover that point. It's really striking to me that Tesla has apparently decided not to build more locations. They're not building more physical locations in Thailand. They're not building more physical locations in Malaysia. They're not building more physical locations they're building superchargers, just to be clear, but they're not building physical locations to sell cars. As far as I can see, I've seen no hint of any plans of opening another location anywhere in Thailand. Major Japanese cities with millions of people typically have one Tesla location, if any. I mean, Kobe doesn't have any. Kobe is a large city. Kyoto is a large city, doesn't have any. So that, they have superchargers, but they don't have sales locations. That suggests that Tesla's made a decision that our future is not in having physical, and and this is something they've decided all along. We're selling cars online, but there's an impact for that. There's an impact on sales. Yes, most of your sales are going to be online, but there are customers who want to go to a physical location to see a car, and they might be frustrated that it's far away. And Toyota locates all over. Like when I was in Nagoya, Japan, Nagoya is the home of Toyota. When I was in Nagoya, Japan, it felt like there was a Toyota dealership around every corner. They have like specific Corolla dealerships. It's that crazy. I think Tesla's made that choice. And we knew they made that choice a while ago, and maybe they were over optimistic about robotaxi, and maybe they should have started opening more locations sooner, and the CapEx would have paid off because it took this long for robotaxi to get going, but they didn't know that at the time. And I think now they have a really good idea that they're close to robotaxi. I think robotaxi is probably coming in 2025. And I want to say this, like, it's one thing when Elon says it, it's another thing when the team starts talking about it. And I'm seeing multiple Tesla team members talk about how great the current version of FSD is and how everyone's seeing the progress getting to the point where robotaxi is coming soon. Not just Elon. It's not just Elon talking anymore. Now you'll get Fred Fudstone and some other whiners saying, "Oh, you never know when robotaxi is going to come," and it's true. But when I see the whole team's on board and they're saying it's about to happen, that's a really good sign. So I hope this made sense about Tesla's sales strategy. It's a piece that you very rarely see anybody else talking about. Do you think Tesla should open more physical locations? If you do, please let me know in the comments below. Please check out the t-shirts at elonbits.com. Please support me here as a YouTube channel member or subscriber, a subscriber on the X platform, or on the Daily Lie, or on Patreon. Really appreciate your support. Please check out my other videos, and thank you so much for watching.